Hello, Mr. Corey Jekyll.
What's up, buddy?
How's it going, man?
It's going well, man. Can't complain.
Excellent.
Here we
Excellent.
are again.
That's it. I was definitely looking forward to it, man.
Yeah, busy weekend for you as well as myself. I wasn't as adventurous, but definitely got out and did a couple things. Was up at the casino Friday.
Oh, nice.
Saw the comedian Tom Segura. I don't know if you're
Yeah,
familiar
yeah,
with
yeah.
him.
Yeah.
He's absolutely hysterical, and it
Oh,
was
no shit.
awesome. Yeah, I took Zach. It was a present I got for him a while back. So
Oh,
that
nice,
was
man.
fun. And
That's
then
awesome.
Saturday was Porch Fest down in Black Rock.
Yep.
So that was a lot of music and bouncing around, and it was good.
That's
You know?
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was I love Porch Fest. I think it's at this point it's probably getting pretty international, I think. I don't know if you know too much about if they're
Yeah.
reaching into other states and stuff.
Yep. And that's true because they're actually announcing one. I think Milford's going to try to do one again too, sometime in October. So, but yeah, it's definitely something that's got some legs for getting out there around the country for sure. And like you said,
Yeah,
internationally as
yeah,
well.
definitely.
And you were out motorcycling.
I was.
Right?
I was motorcycling.
Nice.
I was motoring up to Maine to a retreat. Um the deadbeat retreat. So
Nice.
it was a good time. It's grueling. It's always motorcycling is always, especially as I get older, it definitely takes a lot out of me, but
Sure.
but I love it, so I keep on doing it.
Yeah,
I
man.
always told people, as long as I could sling a leg over a motorcycle, I'll keep on riding. So
There you go.
and if I can't, I'll get myself a convertible or something so I can hear, feel the winds in my hair, which I
That's right.
recently cut most of it off.
Yeah, you did. Look at you.
I did.
And the
And it was,
wizard bear's coming in real nice.
yeah, it's coming in good.
Yeah.
We'll see if Christine pops on and makes any remarks about it.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's like the prep for the weather and stuff. It was so hot, and I got this
Oh
this
God,
helmet
dude.
on my head all the time, so I just got rid of it. Actually, Andy helped me cut it, so that was pretty interesting. It was fun.
Very, very interesting.
Yes, only way to go in Maine is, I love it up there. It is. It's so true, Kathy. It's such a great place to ride, and it's a good escape. Everything's so spread out, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful land up there.
Yeah, yeah. I was trying to get up there this year, just with the kids and stuff, but it didn't quite work out. So I'll have to do some better planning next year to try to get up there for a few days.
I mean, planning is just tough in general right now with everything we do. Every step we take.
Yeah, no, that's very well said. Good point. I mean, that's the other thing we're dealing with here on top of everything. Hey, Mary, what's up? Kathy, how are you? Yeah, no,
Hello,
I
Mary.
mean, things are changing by the second, with
Yeah.
all this other COVID and everything. And yeah, it's almost like deja vu in so many ways, man, because like we got another nasty hurricane hitting New Orleans, man, where we now, we've got friends down there, people we know, and hopefully everyone's safe and sound down there. What's up, Dave? What up, Will?
What's up, Will? Ride was great. I'll definitely fill you in.
But there's there's all that kind of stuff going on, man. A lot of the things that we don't normally try to talk about on here are going on again. Political things, all kinds of stuff. It's just it's crazy.
It really is. It's it is what it is, and we do what we do because of we started doing what we're doing because of all that stuff.
That's right. No, a huge reason. Yeah, the connection through the technology to try to at least embrace some sort of connection during a time when we weren't really able to. So yeah.
Speaking of connections,
yes, sir.
Our last Crush Corner,
that
was a tough one, and
it was a bad connection.
I was so excited to talk to Nate. Super talented guy.
Our man from Pennsylvania, West Virginia border area.
Hey, and we made the best of it. We were able to still share a lot of his creations.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it worked out the way it was supposed to, because he's a pretty humble dude. I don't think he really wanted to talk too much about himself, which I respect. And it was great that we had a chance to share stuff. We did have a poor connection, but we really made the best of it, and it worked out good. And I actually had a chance to to chat with Nate after we were done through some Facebook kind of stuff, which actually seemed to hold really steady.
Oh, cool.
So wherever the problem lies, who knows? Technology, internet stuff, that's just the way it goes.
But, we were able to learn a little bit of something about his art too. I remember him talking about like how he gets some of the color into some of his pieces. So it was, we did get a little bit of information to understand some of that.
And it definitely seemed like he almost preferred the really more laid back format of chatting and stuff, which was great. And I got a chance to learn even a little bit more about him. So that's really great dude, really talented, and I look forward to seeing all the other creations that he comes up with, because he's
he's
killing it.
Yeah, it seems like he's that kind of person that just wants to keep evolving too. He's going from like where it was to now these big machines and craziness. So who knows what's going to come out of there?
I think that's cool. Like our opportunity is to learn a lot of stuff too. It's not only is this a way to connect to people and a way to beat isolation, but we also, you and I, get to learn a lot of stuff.
It's always a learning for me, because a lot of the folks we have on here are either going through dealing with things that haven't, so you learn a little bit about that. And obviously a lot of the artists that come on, the things that they do, it's like, again, nothing that I would ever even dream of doing, like similar to our guest tonight.
Absolutely.
It's really cool stuff. Definitely learn stuff for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we one thing actually that was kind of funny is because we were having such a tricky connection with Nate, it kind of lended an opportunity to fill some space, and Andy kept kind of popping into the scene.
Yes.
And then we chatted about possibly doing like a kids episode of the Crush Corner.
That's right.
And I think I actually talked to her, and she's really stoked about it. And
Very cool.
I think I'm going to do, and I'll have to figure out, when it would make sense to do something like that. Probably on a Sunday morning or Sunday afternoon, and make it kind of an exploration of the children's book that we put together.
Yeah.
And, just have a fun time with it. So I'm really looking forward to doing that.
Oh yeah, that's great. That's an excellent idea.
And also,
I'm sure she'll be real psyched about it.
She really is. Yeah, she's very excited about it. And then almost in the same realm, we have a episode coming up in the future. I'll have to check the date again, but and again, how I like to throw little bits and pieces out there just to let people know that they pay attention to the Crush Kill Destroy Facebook page, Crush Kill Destroy Instagram.
Yep.
And see what's going on. And we're gonna do a definitely a scheduled special afternoon show, and the only reason is that there's a huge time difference.
Correct.
With the guests that we're gonna have. So
yes,
it made sense with the time that we chose, and that's gonna be a really good episode. So you guys that are hanging tonight, keep it in mind, let other people know, and keep an eye on our social media, because it's gonna be pretty wicked.
Yeah. Very cool.
I'm stoked about that. Cool, buddy. What else is happening in the world of Corey? How about this? Like, it's crazy, dude, because I was up in Maine, and here it is. It's like 60s and stuff like that, and I was feeling pretty comfortable aside from the rain that I got caught in.
Yeah.
After the rain passed, it was so nice and cool, and I'm just ripping down the road, and I'm like, I'm ready. I'm ready for fall. I'm ready to put some layers on. I'm ready to like get, sink my teeth into the festivities of the fall. And then I come home and I'm like, it's so hot.
Yeah, well, it's crazy because it was one, again, the weekend leading into actually the other big thing, which a lot of folks, I'm sure, that have kids are dealing with, is the back to school stuff. So that started today for the kids. So there was like a lot of last minute haircuts and different things going on. You know what I mean? So yeah. And then on top of it, it didn't feel like we were getting ready to go back to school. It felt like we were starting summer because it was just nasty.
Yeah.
End of week last week. It was awful.
Yeah. The back to school craziness.
Yep. We're there.
And like I said, it's all these, not only do you have the regular, stresses. I don't know if stresses is a great word, but I mean, it is. It's stress. It's stress, everyday living, doing this and doing that. Not only do we have all that regular stuff, but it's all weaved into this fucking pandemic that's going on. Oops, excuse me. I just noticed that Andy was listening. I mean, we're not really a censored kind of show to a certain.
No.
Hi, Dad. This is Andy. I'm excited to do the kids thing, and I hope you can tell Uncle Corey that we will do it. And I think you did, but I heard you. I hear everything you're saying on this. Thank you and goodbye.
Yay!
Watch what you say out there, folks. But so it's just amazing. Like I said before, every step we take is the eggshells of COVID-19 are out there. Yeah,
it's pretty funny because not many folks were masked at the Segura show, and he came out obviously with hey Christine, what's up? He came out with some jokes about it, just basically just saying it, everyone there is going to be responsible for the next big issue and blah blah blah. And hey, it's one of those things. It's pretty mind-blowing, like I said, how it's evolved and what we've learned since then, and the fact that it's just like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't with it. Like, you can get it if you got the vaccine, but maybe not as bad. It's like you said, there's just so many things, and it's just changing like this.
It's That's crazy.
We'll just keep bouncing off the walls like the pinball, waiting for it all to come to complete normalcy again. Hopefully,
so we can bounce our heads together now because I got this. Mary said she's not going to Dropkick because of the Pandam remix, Pandemics, which also means that I'm not going. So you got to put everything on the table, weigh it out, and then make a good decision. Will says you can get it twice. He's had that experience.
I believe it.
So it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? Sons of guns.
I don't know.
I was talking about connections, and we're talking about making connections with with the Crush Corner, and we've been really lucky to meet a lot of people and do a lot of cool shit.
Oh yeah,
I was so close to visiting one of my favorites, Christine.
Oh,
so close. I mean, she's just been such an awesome person, such a big supporter of Crush Kill Destroy. And I was literally, we were going to make a stop on our way back within reason. I gave her warning that we would be disgusting and smelly on our motorcycles.
Sure.
She was all for it. Of course, like good soul, she was prepared to offer us food and a place to wash up.
Nice.
We had a little window to kind of play with, and we were hustling. And then it was the wall of rain that stopped.
That looked pretty bad.
For a good 45 minutes, hour. At that point, myself and Uriah and my nephew were just spent and ready to like hightail it home. It was bad, but no beers allowed at her place. That's messed up. You know what? That ain't right. That's not right.
Nice, you got the beard comb going on.
Yeah, I'm gonna grow it. I'm gonna grow it just out of spite.
Oh,
Dave doesn't like that either. So, oh man, so I'm super stoked to talk with Jillian tonight from the Smell of Fear Candle Company. I think I connected with her somewhat through Chris Galley when Devil Chicken. Everyone knows Devil Chicken. We did the episode. I think she may or may not have popped on. However algorithms work on Instagram,
right?
For whatever reason, it comes
up
this and that. And I was so into the concept of what she's doing and the look of everything, and it was so cool. And then I actually ordered a candle, and they blew my mind. They were they're so awesome. And I'm always chasing the dog smell in the house, and I'm like, going crazy cleaning, and Tracy's always like, calm down, but I'm like, light a candle. But I actually got my little guy still going. I have another big one, but I have the where's my I know it's hard to see. It says beware. This is the Beware the Moon.
Beware the Moon. I think I read about that scent somewhere, getting some feedback saying it was one of their favorites.
Well, it's one of my favorites.
Oh.
But I think without further ado, we should bring Jillian in and chat.
Sweet. Let's do so.
get a little educated about the candle making process and all sorts of cool stuff. Again, I have all my my format on StreamYard. They decided to change recently, so I used to be pretty slick at it. Now I'm slowing down with like where all the stuff is. But bring Jillian in chat. Hello, Jillian.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Cheers. Thanks.
Cheers.
Thanks for taking time to come on and chat with us.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. This is cool.
Yeah, totally,
very cool.
So, like I said, I believe that our initial connection was through Chris Galley, Devil Chicken.
Yes. Yeah, he's a good friend. He and his wife Joanne. 15 years plus, I think we're going on. Yeah.
So are you guys actually that close? Like living wise, are you close?
Well, we used to be. They used to live a lot closer, but they moved out to the country in this idyllic little estate they have now, which is amazing. So, but yeah, I mean, they're still within like, a 25-minute or so drive. But yeah,
that's not bad.
That's awesome. I did see. What's Chris's wife's name? Joanne.
Yeah.
I did see that she had left a comment tonight, and I kind of forgot that I didn't realize you guys were actually super close friends. So that's so cool.
We've been friends for a really long time. Joanne and I used to work together at an animal hospital. That's how we met. We worked at the front desk at an animal hospital, and then got to know her and her husband, and we've been good friends ever since. They're some of my favorite people.
So, are you actually up in? Is it Buffalo?
Yes.
But they're just way up in the boondocks or something.
A little bit. They're just a little ways out, just past East Aurora. So not terribly far. But I don't know. Buffalo's so weird. It's like when you talk to a lot of people, they're just like, "Oh, so do you have cows? And where are you a farm?" And it's like, no, we actually have like a little city proper, and there's some theater and some good restaurants. So
Anchor Bar.
Oh my gosh, yeah, the Anchor Bar is pretty good. Good stuff. There's so many others though. There's so many amazing restaurants.
Oh yeah, no, it's been
Tonawanda, Prescott's Provisions.
Oh yeah, I get.
You're in the city of Tonawanda. It's amazing. It's right on the water. Best food. Very
cool.
Good stuff. It's
our favorite. I'll have to make some notes in case I get up there. But does it have kind of a real artsy feel within that community? And
I think it does, absolutely. So there's like the Elmwood district. So the west side, there's the theater district. So yeah, there's a lot of up and coming art. Revolution Gallery is pretty amazing. They feature a lot of really cool artists. In fact, Chris Galley was there, Devil Chicken. I think he might have a feature there currently. But they're really cool, super eclectic. They do music, they do different art installations. They're pretty amazing. So yeah.
Now, did you actually grow up out there, or
I did? Yep, I grew up right in a little town called Cheektowaga.
Ooh,
yeah.
I'm not going to try.
The land of the crab apple.
Is that what it means?
Yeah.
God, the land. I must have had several teachers from that place. So do you now, were you doing like obviously what you do, and actually, if you don't mind telling folks that are hanging with us like a little bit about the Smell Affair and what it is exactly, and how it came to be.
Yeah. So back in the summer of 2019, I was always a horror fiend, and I was always kind of a candle fiend. And we'd gone to a convention, a horror convention out here, and there was a great candle seller there. They were soy candles. They were just kind of I don't want to say run of the mill because they were fantastic, and I'm sure I bought a buttload of them. But
I'm not cut you off.
How cool would it be? What's that?
Not good. I used that quote today, ironically, in my own personal post. I said that your candles were not like Yankee Candle run. But I actually said run in the mill, so I'm sorry.
Oh, that's funny. That's why I had it stuck in my head probably. But but I thought, how cool would it be to kind of combine those two ideas? And so I came home and I started working on Edgar Allan Poe was my first inspiration. And I started pulling the scent notes like from the stories. So like one of the first candles I did was Cask of Amontillado. And I wanted it to smell like a rich sherry, and the oak casks that it is, I don't want to say brewed. What am I? I don't know. Like I've never, what it does with the fermented. Yeah.
I think brewed is pretty cool. Candle brewing. Oh yeah.
Yeah, a little wine brewing.
Really cool.
And then kind of like a wine cellar. So then I actually, I was able to find a scent note called Mud, which is like this really rich, earthy petrichor scent, like the smell of the air after rain.
Oh, wow.
So that was my first kind of blend, and I kind of like just took off from there.
Wow.
So,
now you're obviously interested, even though you're a horror fan, you've kind of grown up like that, you're always interested in that stuff.
Yep.
What about the artistic aspect? Like, are you doing the labels on the candles and everything yourself?
Yes. So, but more from like a design element. So what I do is I find like really cool open source images, artists that people have forgotten about. So like the labels on my Edgar Allan Poe candles are, I always say, I screw up his name because I mix him up with an author, Harry James, I want to say. Maybe someone can correct me, but he was an Irish artist who did a whole bunch of illustrations for Edgar Allan Poe's books, like way back turn of the century. And he's now in the public domain. He's got all this great, amazing artwork. And I thought, what a great way to kind of highlight him and his amazing work on, my candles. So that's kind of that's what I do. So I make sure that each of my candles are sort of, they're individual to the candle. They're designed for the candle. I try to stay in the public domain. I don't want to steal anybody's artwork. I can't draw worth a lick. If I could, I would definitely get into that and do my own labels, but and then I don't want to worry about any copyright or anything like that. So I try to be really careful with distorting images and things like that. But yeah, I do. Long story short, yes, I do design the labels.
Were you doing any creative things before this? Like, even you say you can't draw worth a lick, but there's so many other avenues that you were you exploring other things or creating other things before the candle making stuff? Or
not too much. I mean, I was always kind of crafty, like I would do cross stitch and things like that, but I really goofy, like crafty stuff, but not, this is the biggest foray sort of into anything like that I've done. So I'm actually an English professor in my day job.
What's that?
An English professor.
Get out. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's my day job. So
that's interesting that you say that, because well, for one, usually Corey and I will be Googling and researching and trying to find stuff, and it was actually really difficult to find stuff about you, which is it's probably not a bad thing, considering the internet is so wacky these days.
No, yeah, seriously.
Do you find being a professor, is it best to have that separation with your personal stuff when it comes to social media and the internet and stuff like that? Really keep it?
I do, absolutely. So, and like just little things like, I've got like a personal Instagram, I've got a personal Facebook, I've got a business Facebook, I've got a business Instagram, and then I try to keep it as separate as I can. And like, I just use my first and middle name, like I won't use my last name, just different things like that. Just trying to keep all that as sort of, and I don't want to say away from my students, but there is a line that I do think.
Oh, sure.
So.
Yeah, I do have a couple friends that are that find that is important too. One of my buddies is he's a Latin teacher and he's also a tattoo artist. So you've had these worlds that collide. So you got to find the balance. And then one of my good friends who chatted with us as well is a musician who gigs a lot, but he's also a music teacher for high school, I believe. So I can see how important it would be. Joanne said,
where do you teach?
Oh, I'm sorry.
What level?
Buffalo State College. So I teach freshman English.
Nice.
And I've also kind of here and there, I've taught public speaking. I've taught history of graphic design. So yeah.
Wow, cool. Very cool.
So pretty much the foundational English that absolutely nobody wants to take. So I try to keep it as exciting as possible.
So did you go back today? Like, did you start back up today or just
not today? So I teach Tuesday, Thursday. So I got a little bit of a reprieve. So I go back. My first day back in front of a classroom in person is tomorrow, which I'm
look at that.
A little nervous and a little, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, it feels like I haven't done it. It feels like I'm starting over again.
Sure.
Jeff says, so awesome. The cask of, I'm probably going to butcher this, especially in front of an English professor.
No worries. Everybody, we all butcher that word sometimes.
The cask of Amontillado. I don't know how to say that.
That's actually pretty good. Amontillado.
So it's twisted. So, creating the candles and drawing all this inspiration from them, are these, they got to be stories that you've read a number of times, or just you've read a lot of horror related. Is horror a good word for this type of thing, especially when you're thinking like I don't think like Edgar Allan Poe. I don't think horror immediately, but is that a good word to use, you think, for?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's kind of like the father of, like, he, Mary Shelley, Nathaniel Hawthorne, like they kind of got us all started, right? So, and then kind of trailed down to H.P. Lovecraft, which then led to Stephen King, and now we've got the amazing Grady Hendrix. So it's like this kind of transition of horror, but he's definitely at the forefront, and I think horror is a really good term for him because some of his stuff is absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
Is there an author that that really resonates? Is it Edgar Allan Poe, or is there someone else that really resonates? Yeah,
it's Poe. Yeah, I'm a big Poe nerd. I know it sounds so cliched. I mean, he is so like ubiquitous. Like Poe is everywhere, but he's definitely my absolute.
Oh yeah, and there's a reason for it too. He's that incredible. I actually did I did a Poe inspired tattoo. So it's nice that you can be inspired by all this stuff to create all different avenues of art, which is really great. I mean, horror, there's an endless amount of visuals and graphics and fine art that come from it, which is pretty wild. So
what was interesting is I did find like one thing written, I think, on an Etsy page that you have a storefront on, I think, if I'm not mistaken, just relating to an audio album of Edgar Allan Poe that you had listened to.
Yeah,
and how I think it was Vincent Price and Peter Lorre were, articulating, and how you kind of attributed the way the voice sort of told the story is kind of how you like have the sense try to like tell the story of the candle, so to speak.
Yeah, that's exactly what I try to do, because I love to I don't want to do like, I remember when I first started this and someone was making snarky comments on like one of my social media pages, and they're like, "Oh, so does your Mike Myers candle smell like pumpkin spice?" I'm like, no, it does not. As a matter of fact, it smells like the fall leaves from when Laurie Strode was walking home from school. And then it smells like the bed sheet that Mike Myers hid himself in when he was at the end of that murder, or in the middle of that murder scene.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. Take your pumpkin spice and shove it up your betwixt your cheeks. How's that?
That's great.
I was so interested when I started to read all the descriptions of the smell of each candle, and so now I'm glad that's kind of clarified for me. But it's so great that you're so into it to be able to put that description together, and
I think it's awesome. It's incredible.
Yeah, to the best I can. I want like you to feel like you're there. I want it, like you said, I want to tell the story with the scent. Yeah. So, there's plenty of other candle makers out there doing amazing things with like, their different venues and genres and stuff. I really wanted to kind of carve out a niche for myself within the horror community. Yeah. And I wanted to make candles that were appealing to a really broad audience, where it's like, I kind of like that my candle, like a lot of men are into, which sometimes men are not like the most candle, and I love that. And I think it's awesome. And like so many times, like I feel like my candle's a candle that a guy can be comfortable picking up and being like, "Old Sparky, inspired by an electric chair. That's awesome." And then, right on the mantle.
Yeah.
I'm a domesticated tattoo guy.
Yeah, I know when I popped on, you were talking about, you always like the candles, and like you've got the dogs and you're like, light a candle. I smell the dogs. And that's definitely, I can really tell
cleaning
as well.
house today, doing laundry. I was getting my shit together.
Nice.
This one here, the smell of fear. I see dead people, and I promise. Do you now offhand? Do you remember each description of when you put these together, like the scent and all that stuff? Do you?
Yeah. So that one is like a minty eucalyptus, and that's my Sixth Sense inspired candle. And for me, I wanted it to smell like that scene when he was when he said, "I see dead people," and you could see like the vapor rise from his mouth. I wanted it to be something that was that icy cool kind of like, atmospheric sort of scent.
It's so cool. Like when you do that, it's so cool.
Thank you. I have fun. I have fun doing it. Like, and like just creating the label, I found that great image, which actually looked like Bruce Willis and Haley Joel Osment from the movie. So they're kind of like hiding in the shadows there. So then that just worked perfectly. And That was it.
It's really interesting to make that correlation between a visual scene or even music or sounds and stuff, and then pull back and then come up with these.
What does it smell like?
The scent, like
and I mean, it could have gone horribly wrong, right? Especially with horror, because there's some candles I haven't even, or some stories I haven't done yet. A friend of mine keeps asking me when I'm going to do Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And it's like, I don't know if anyone really wants a candle that smells like a slaughterhouse or
a gasoline, right? Like coming out of the chainsaw.
And I thought about it for a minute. I did think like I could do the novelty, like a exorcist candle that smelled like puke, and like, but the clothes, you can only burn one of those once, right? And then you're kind of like, okay, that's cute. Maybe not ever even burn it. You just like put it up on your
like limited edition type things you do, just as sort of like one-offs or something that people might be into for like a collector kind of thing. Because it's very cool, like the way that all comes together. It's just such a different. I mean, I wouldn't even know how to even really do that. But then to come out with that scent and have it be like what you're thinking in your head is just, it's really amazing.
That's the hope.
It seems like you're able to dig that deep to get into a scene from a movie or a passage from a book and then put it together. And for someone like Corey and I, who might be like we're right there. If we're thinking, The Exorcist, we're like, yeah, puke, that makes sense. But there's so much more layers to what you're doing with the scent of the candle, and I think it's super cool. So this is We're Going to Get You. Is this the Evil Dead? Which is one of my favorites. This movie horrified me as a kid.
It was very scary with all those the quick Raimi's use of camera effects. I think it was just very jarring, and it like the jump scares were like really something, and it just constantly came at you like that whole movie.
And again, watching it now, I'm like, it's so hokey, but
it's a nostalgic hokey now, right? Because you remember how much you loved it as a kid.
And again, I actually did a bunch of Evil Dead related tattoos, so we're connected.
That's so awesome. I'm hoping to someday I'm eventually going to do like a whole literary sort of sleeve. I've got my Poe. Well, you can't read, he's upside down, but it's my Poe inspired a raven and an old Underwood typewriter.
Oh, super cool.
So yeah,
that reminded me, my Liz that had jumped on. She said oh yes, I love Poe. We have a taxidermy raven right by our door front. Which is pretty neat. So I'll tell you a story quickly. I worked the tattoo shop that I apprenticed at. This is really bizarre. It was this little shithole place where I started, and the guy was a little bit out of his mind, like a lot of old time tattoo guys are. He had a friend that worked for the Audubon Society that had just brought in a crow that had they thought was hurt. He said, we got to go pick up this crow, man. And I'm like, what are we going to do with it? He's like, we're going to take care of it. And I'm like, okay. I was like, I don't know, 20, 21, 22.
Yeah.
So we get this crow, we bring it back to the tattoo shop, and this is a very different time in, health department stuff. And I have this little pickup truck, and I get these giant branches out of the woods. So I basically, in the storefront, I set up this perch and all the stuff. And we had this neon red tattoo sign that glowed red at night when we closed down, and this crow was living in the tattoo shop, and we named him Edgar Allan Crow.
Perfect.
So Edgar lived in there, and every night I would lock up and leave, and I would just look at the window and see Edgar perched on this thing with this red glow, and it was cool. It was horribly wrong, but it looked
wrong.
And then
was he friendly? Like, did he bond with you and the rest of the?
Cool. It was very chill. I don't know what his issue was, but they just said maybe a wing, a foot.
Yeah.
So one summer we had the door open. He hopped down and he went boink 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 boink, and he walked outside and he looked around, and Edgar just went and took off
into the ether. Oh my gosh. That's the dream. I would love to have like a murder that just like came and hung out with me, have my coffee in the morning. We chatted, leave me little baubles and stuff. That's so cool.
Liz says she's definitely interested in ordering some of these. So that's great. I'm glad she mentioned that, because I want to make sure people know the best way. And is your store, is it not up right now?
Yeah. So it's currently, I'm on a little bit of a hiatus, because with teaching starting back up, I kind of have to, keep two sides of my brain as, open as possible. So I did take a brief hiatus. I also do subscription boxes. So usually like the last week of the month is always, I take off just so I can get those packed and get everything out. I do wholesale orders. I do custom orders. And I currently have 3 very big custom orders that I'm kind of working on, which I always bite off more than I can chew. But so the shop is closed until mid-September right now. So
is it a good idea to keep an eye on the smellofear.com just to see what you kind of get
keep an eye on the smellofear.com. Keep an eye on my Instagram. I always update Instagram, Smell of Fear. Facebook, I don't do as much with, but I'm on there as well. And I, things kind of copy and post over. So yeah, just keep an eye on social media. My Etsy is still open with a very limited number of my King and Poe candles. So you can still get some of them right now. I kind of keep that open all the time. So those are available, but my major catalog, what I do is monthly themes. So this month when I open back up, it's going to be Season of the Witch. So I have my 2 brand new witchy inspired candles. The first one is inspired by Suspiria, and the second one is inspired by the Blair Witch Project.
Oh, nice.
Super cool. Wow. Those are my 2 new ones for this month. And then all the candles that I'll stock will be, I always carry Poe, I always carry King, but then the rest will be my witchy candles.
Witchy candles. Christine says, yeah, witchy.
Yeah.
So you when I know you mentioned before, I just want to like timeline. When did you actually start making the candles?
So I started tinkering in May of 2019.
2019.
Yeah.
At that point, were you just like, let me just kind of do this for myself and friends?
Yep.
And then
I was like, let me just see, and I did have a candle addiction. So when I'd go to the, Yankee Candle, all the other different candle places, I would spend ridiculous amounts of money. And when my fiance and I were in there the one time, loading up with all those giant jars, he's like, why don't you just learn to make candles? Like, why don't you just do this yourself? And I was just like, I can't, I'll never figure that out. I don't know how to do it. It seems tricky. It's just so much easier to go to the outlets, grab a bunch of these.
Was this a solution to the addiction?
Yeah. And it's funny, I care so much about each of my little hand poured creations that some of the only times I burn them is when they're test burns. So it's like I have to force myself to be like, okay, this is your favorite scent. You love this candle. You can burn this candle. It doesn't just have to get sold. It doesn't just have to be part of this enterprise. And it's like, okay.
That's great. And then when did you, again, timeline, when did you decide to make it a business? You're like, I'm doing this. I'm going to go for it.
Towards spooky season. So the end of summer, heading into spooky season in 2019, I decided to try the Etsy. And then just kind of see, where that went. And I think that's when I started the Instagram page, just to kind of see where that would go. Awesome. And then it just kind of took off from there. And at the beginning of this year is when I did my own website. So then that's when I did the smellofear.com.
Oh, that's awesome.
So
there's another one, the monster. What's this scent in this one?
So this one has an interesting history because it was initially inspired by the scene from the original Frankenstein movie. I'm going to get the date wrong, so I won't say it. But 1930s, it was the scene where he's picking flowers with a little girl, and he tosses her into the water, and she dies. But it's this beautiful, idyllic, meadow scene. So the first iteration of this candle actually smelled like fresh flowers and citrus and cedar to kind of pull in the scents from that scene. Then they discontinued some of the notes. So then I wasn't able to get that anymore. So I actually did a contest on Instagram, and I asked a whole bunch of people, what do you think the monster or his environment would smell like? What does it smell like to you? And this was actually the contest winner. So it was frankincense and sandalwood and earth.
Oh, wow.
And it fit perfectly. And it is one of my favorites to pour. It's wonderful to burn in the fall. It's just this warm, earthy, it's just a fantastic, fantastic scent.
That is awesome. The Overlook. Very classic. Something I think almost everyone can relate to. The Overlook. This particular one. So, and then what's the is it note? So you're calling it notes? Is that
yeah? So it's like each scent, so the way that I do it, I either come up with my own scent blend. So I grab a whole bunch of the different scent notes. There's like top notes, middle notes, and bottom notes, depending on their strength, depending on how they like lay and sort of set with the other smells. And then sometimes I will find a pre-existing blend that'll just work perfectly, either because of the name or because of kind of, it just fits the story, and then I'll use that. So for this one, this was a pre-existing blend, and it's winter air, cedar, and cardamom. Wow. And when I smelled it, to me, it kind of had like, when you walk into like an historic building, like it's got that like very distinct, like either a museum or if you've ever been to Salem, it's got very distinct. That's what that smelled like to me. Yeah. And it just hits you. So that's what that smelled like to me. And I just pictured the only thing that I should have done, and I won't change it just because I love how it is. The only thing I could have added was maybe just a little bit of whiskey.
Ooh.
For what happens to Jack Torrance. That would have been kind of key in there. But
that's what I say on Saturday nights.
So,
just a little bit of whiskey. That'll really.
I kind of added a little whiskey.
What is this night missing? Coach.
I usually say I shouldn't have added the whiskey, but
yeah, that's usually the next day.
Yes, that's true. That's the next morning.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the way that you talk about these, to me it sounds very similar to like wine or beer brewing and stuff. Like you're really passionate about it, and it sounds like that's the kind of thing I would imagine a brewer or someone making wine would do. What kind of grapes you're gonna put into it. So it seems very similar. So I think candle brewing, I don't know, did we just make that term up today?
I think so. I like it.
You're a master candle brewer.
Oh,
we got to get out and do some copywriting and trademarking of that.
I'm the only candle brewer in the world.
That's
See?
it. Only one.
Perfect.
Nobody else mess around. Okay.
I like it.
So this one, he who walks behind the rose, is this related to Children of the Corn?
It is.
It is. Awesome.
Yeah. So I found this amazing scent it's actually called corn husks. So it actually smells like when you're shucking corn, like in late summer. It's got that wonderful, like fresh corn smell. It's just kind of amazing. And then I mixed it with a little bit of this warm Egyptian amber. Because so it's like, satanic and demonic and like what happens to the kids and Malachi. Yeah. So whenever I have a note that I think, or a scent that should potentially be like sulfur because of, demons or because of the devil, sulfur is not a great smell. And so I always kind of sub in amber. And I don't know why, but for whatever reason, that's the connection that I sort of made, this like ancient sort of stone that has this amazing smell. So that's kind of what I did with that one. So it's corn husks and amber, and it is I like that one a lot.
for you to describe all this stuff too, it's like being a creative person myself, it's like I'm sitting here and I feel like I'm starting to smell everything, and I'm like everyone you've talked about, I'm like, oh, I need one of those. Like
that's awesome.
The sensation, or maybe it triggers a memory. Even like you talk about the old building, all this stuff. It's like I think that's the nice thing about candles, actually, because it does have. I don't know if a healing element is the right thing to say, but
aromatherapy.
Aromatherapy, yeah.
It's definitely a calming thing, and it's the irony in what you do is all based in these things that are presented as these horror candles, and then you bring it into the home, and it's like, oh man, this is awesome. Like I feel good, my house smells good, I'm chilling. Yeah, and
that's why I always say, like when I do my markets and stuff, and like you get a whole different, not everybody's going to be a horror fan, right? So it's like I'm like, come on over and give them a sniff. They're inspired by scares, but they usually don't smell scary. So that's kind of always my tagline. Like, come on, this will go great in your bathroom. You can do it. It's wonderful. You don't have to like Jason Voorhees.
Yeah,
right.
That's absolutely true, and that's what we find with what we do with Crush, Kill, Destroy, because it has such a menacing name, and but it's like almost, even with your candles, if you do purchase something, you get it into your home. Now you've got past the horror of it all, or whatever, and you're opened up to this new experience. So that's what we like to think of Crush, Kill, Destroy in the same sense, because it's based in people just doing what they do and doing it damn good, like yourself, putting your heart into this. Obviously, you're very passionate about the candles and everything. So I can definitely relate. Horror
Factory. I like that. Can I have that?
No, that's good.
Horror Factory sense.
Yeah,
Perfect.
something else to copyright. There we go.
You have an excellent taste in artwork, bub.
Oh yes, he's my backdrop for everything. So speaking of Devil Chicken,
yeah.
Oh, there we go. He was the first artwork that I purchased when I bought my first home. That is a Devil Chicken original. That is that is one of my most prized possessions. If I remember correctly, he and Joanne had just moved into a house that had a whole bunch of artifacts from a funeral home.
Oh, wow.
Was it, or no? She was working on a building that was a funeral home. Joanne, I'm so sorry I'm getting this wrong, but they had all these old anatomy books, and he was able to incorporate that into his bub, and it was just like
bub.
Yeah,
that is so cool.
Yeah, it's I absolutely love it. And funny story, I just moved into this room that I'm in. My daughter and I changed rooms. The candle layer in her bedroom switched. She turned 13. She wanted a different space, so we switched. And he was perched on one of my pouring tables, and he actually fell on me, and he broke into a million pieces, and he bruised my shoulder.
Oh my God!
So this is his first debut back. He's back in working order.
Welcome back, bub.
Yeah, thanks.
Welcome.
Bub. Thrilled to have you. You hurt me. You hurt me, but it's all right.
Oh my!
He's heavy. I'll tell you that. He's very heavy. Well made.
There you go.
So when you talk about the scents that you're adding, actually, if you don't mind, without divulging too much secret information,
sure.
Like I have no idea about the process of making candles. Like I don't really get it. I would imagine that if you're adding whiskey to a candle, it's not like a little for me, a little for me. Like,
no, it's just mostly for me, and then it's an actual fragrance oil that's called whiskey. That's how that.
There
works.
you go.
The fragrance. Okay. Yeah, like I don't.
So, yeah, I mean, so it's a little bit of a pain in the ass. I'm not gonna lie. When I first got into it, I thought I read a few how-tos, and I'm like, oh, you melt a little wax, you throw in a little scent. I got this shit. I did not have it. I did not have it at all, and it took me quite a while. I had lumpy messes. I had a whole batch of candles that I had gotten a new wax that worked like the consistency of cottage cheese. They never set right. You have to like add the right amounts of scent. You got to add the right amounts of color if you're going to use it, because that can kind of screw things up too. And with my candles, they're a blend of coconut and soy wax, which the coconut wax is a lot softer. It has excellent throw, which means it'll fill a room. It's more sustainable than like your paraffin waxes, which those can like tend to leave sooty residue.
Sure.
So it's a cleaner burning. It is more sustainable, but it is very, very soft. So I kind of had to figure out how to blend a good amount of soy with it to get it so that I could ship them in the summertime, so that I could do some markets in the summertime. Right. But even still, I did a market recently, and towards the middle of the afternoon, the tops of them were starting to turn into little wax puddles.
Wow.
It just happens. I mean, and it, it's not going to affect the candle at all. It is what it is. So I even have a little in the dead of summer when I'm, sending candles to like Arizona, places like that. I have a little Vincent Price from the House of Wax surrounded by fire, and it just says, beware the melt. Let these chill for a little bit before you open them.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But yeah, so it's been a learning process. Candles are definitely easier than soap. I thought about doing soap because I'd love to get some of my scents in some soaps or some hand sanitizers. I think that would be cool, but I'm still perfecting candles. So I'll wait a little bit on the soap. So yeah, so I just figured out a coconut soy blend that's kind of like my own sort of concoction. I'm going to start adding white beeswax. I'm trying to find a local supplier so I can get a really good sustainable one, because I don't want to upset the bees or have it be like crappy, stuff. So, but then that will add an element of air purifying. Oh, wow. So when you burn the candles, which is kind of cool. Awesome. So I'm hoping to start doing that. So yeah, I'm kind of always tinkering, always figuring it out. Sometimes your scents will dull your wick. So with my Frankenstein that you showed before.
I hate when that happens.
the candle wouldn't stay lit. So the oil was too heavy.
It's got to be at least 50 years old then, if that's what you're talking about.
What? Really?
I'm sorry. Never.
Oh no! What did I miss?
We're not gonna. All right, we're gonna skip over dulling your wick. I'm sorry.
Oh no! Is that a drug? Is it a drug thing? What is it?
No.
No, you gotta tell me now.
No.
What? You can't. Oh.
It was you know, as you age, you know, sometimes.
Oh.
You know, you're
I'm so dumb. Okay. Thanks, guys. Good night. Oh.
Okay. All right, bring it back.
We've just turned the crush corner here, folks. Mary's chiming in and say they all just turned 50, so maybe that chimes with us pretty loud. So
gotcha.
Oh, that was funny.
Anyway.
Oh God.
But all this stuff that you're talking about, as far as, and it says on your site or social media stuff, natural wax, right? Is that
yeah? So I don't use any paraffin. I don't use any phthalates. I try to keep them as clean burning, as natural, and as sustainable as possible. So again, the only thing scary about them is the inspiration. I don't want them to leave soot all over your house. I don't want them. I mean, you know, I want them to be sustainable. So I'm trying to figure out something where I might be able to have some have folks return the jars, and I can maybe repurpose.
Oh, wow.
A little bit tricky, especially with the pandemic.
Yeah.
So it's something I'm looking into, and I would love to do, just to keep them, again, as sustainable as possible. So everything is clean, you know, as clean as it can possibly be, short of using like real essential oils.
So it sounds like you have a lot of stuff to me that separates you from the run of the mill kind of candles. Is there anything? Was it the horror? Do you think that the horror thing itself, obviously, it seems like a unique thing. I've never really seen anything like that. Is that what makes it kind of, you know, different and interesting than what in your own experience? If because you've bought so many candles,
yeah,
and then you finally got into this and said, I'm going to do this with it. It's gonna be
I didn't see any other cool horror candles until I got into Instagram. And there are some other really great horror candle companies out there. Some operate directly out of Salem. Some are like kind of book inspired, fandom inspired. So there are some other really great horror candles. I think there's enough space for all of us. And I think we use different things. We get inspired by different things. But I mean, I'm partial to mine. I think that they're like,
well, your interpretation of that scent and connection, I think, is what makes you so unique. I mean, because that's yours. I mean, no one else is necessarily going to be able to come up with that combination and tell the story the same way you do, you know, when it comes to the scenes that you're portraying, you know, on each of these different scents and candles. So I think it's great.
Yeah. And I try to, again, there's room for everybody. I don't, you know, I am competitive by nature, but at the same time, I'm not going to sabotage anybody. I'm not going to like badmouth anybody or, you know, be a jerk about stuff. There's so many amazing candle companies that have, some of them have a darker feel as well.
That's cool.
So this little one I have here is Beware the Moon. So the note says heather, fresh rain, and black tea. I don't know what heather is.
So it is a like weedy type of flower that grows in like Scotland, like along the moors. Ooh. So I was inspired by the opening scene from American Werewolf in London, where they're walking along the moors and it's starting to rain, and then they go into the slaughtered lamb, and everybody's pissed and wants nothing to do with them, and they offer them black tea. But they never end up getting it because they end up hightailing it out of there. And then you know what happens after that. But they hightail it out into the pouring rain. So then it's the heather from the moors, the fresh rain, and then the black tea that they unfortunately never got to drink.
Wow.
When you're just deciding, you talked a little bit about it, but when you're deciding on the combination of scents that you're going to put into the candles, are you like, what's the thought process? Do you have the idea first and then do you refer back to a movie or a book? Are you like
back and forth? Definitely back and forth. Yeah. So like sometimes I'll watch a movie and be like, oh, that's a candle. And I'll, you know, jot it down in my phone. Or sometimes I'll have a scent that I really want to use, and I'm like, oh, what story would this fit? Like, how could I make that work? And then sometimes, you know, I'll have friends ask, or like my little brother, he's also a huge horror fiend. And one night he just started texting me all these different, like, really cool ideas. And he's the one that actually came up with my Hereditary candle. So with Hereditary, and he was like, it should totally smell like smoke, peanuts, and chocolate cake.
Wow.
And like, so that was all him. And it was like, he was spot on. And I was just like, absolutely. So he got full credit for that one. So yeah, sometimes it's the story comes first. Sometimes it's the scent comes first. But I always make sure I kind of go back and research as well. Like I just did my Aliens candles, so that I made sure that I went back and I watched They Live and I watched Aliens just to make sure I wasn't missing anything.
They Live. Oh, so good.
Yeah, it is so good. I totally forgot about the end of that movie. Yeah. And my 13-year-old is getting into horror.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily want her to see everything though. And I completely forgot about that full frontal nudity sex scene at the end. And we're sitting there and she's like, oh, this is what you like, Mom? I'm like, what?
Yeah. Bubblegum.
Yep. Smells like
Mary asked about a Cabin in the Woods scent. Ooh.
I haven't done that one yet. No. And the only reason I haven't done that one, I think, is because with The Evil Dead, it's a cabin in the woods. Sure. With my The Shining, it was a giant palatial, you know, hotel in the woods, but still kind of had those similar scent notes. And then with my Blair Witch, it's a very woodsy scent. So I'm trying to figure out something totally different for Cabin in the Woods. And I did just watch it recently, but nothing has struck me yet.
So watching movies and being into horror for so long, I'm not a horror fan per se. I dig like some psychological stuff, and honestly, I think it's because I'm so my imagination runs wild. I just really scare myself. Like I like watch something and then I don't sleep, and I definitely need sleep. So it's like how do you feel about or how does it affect you, like watching so much horror stuff, because you're inspired by it and you're creating these candles and stuff? Did you ever freak yourself out, like growing up or even older now? Like do you relate to it as an art form on the screen, or what helps you? Maybe you could give me some advice on it. I'm not so shitless when I'm watching.
It's different for everybody, right? So I grew up with horror, and my parents were both really into it, like scary books, true crime, watching scary movies. It was what my dad and my brother and I always kind of connected on. And there were plenty, like The Exorcist scared the shit out of me when I watched it way too young. Exorcist is terrifying. Still, I hear the voice or I see like a picture of Reagan, like on my newsfeed or something, and I'm like, stop, I can't.
Yeah. I watched it with my 17-year-old recently, and for the first time, and he was pretty blown away by it.
Was he really?
Yeah.
My 13-year-old doesn't think that it's going to bother her. And when I watched it with my fiance, who doesn't like horror at all, he was just like, that's not that scary. And I'm like, he jump scares at The Conjuring. I'm like, he's, you know, screaming and like jumping out of his seat. But then he can watch The Exorcist. So it's so different for everybody, right? Like
it is.
And so for me, very nostalgic, grew up watching it, grew up loving it, grew up reading the stories. The first books I read were, you know, Poe, Dracula by Bram Stoker, all the Stephen King books, the Fear Street books. I mean, so I just grew up on it, and I was definitely scared by it as a child. Like again, The Exorcist, Night of the Creeps, or Night of the Demons scared the bejesus out of me. We watched that at the drive-in with my dad, and I still I've not rewatched it since. But now for me, it's like my happy place, and I'm always chasing the scare. And rarely, if ever, do I get scared at a scary movie. So like I'm the friend that leads our way through the haunted house, and I'm the one that will like pause and be like, "Oh, look at that! Do you see the makeup on that guy? That's pretty amazing. Do you see the detail in this room here?" Meanwhile, my friends are like clinging to my back, going, "Walk."
I didn't see anything.
Yeah, and I'm just like, this is amazing. So
I'm very excited for Candyman. I gotta go see that.
It's gotten some pretty decent reviews. I'm upset that Todd's not back, but I think it'll still be a really cool retelling.
Yeah, I think so.
Dave asked about a Shaun of the Dead candle.
Yeah, so Shaun of the Dead's my all-time favorite movie.
Really? Come on.
Yeah, like I can watch that, rewatch it. Makes me laugh. It's got scares, it's got laughs, it's got heart, it's sentimental, it's wonderful. So I found a scent called Beer, and I mixed it with my little mystery combination of bar snacks. Ooh. And so that's Head to the Winchester.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like it gets different reactions. That's probably the closest. That and Death on Wheels are the closest that I've come to like that novelty scent.
Oh,
yeah. So that's my Christine inspired, and it smells like motor oil, leather, and little trees, the little pine trees that you hang from your.
That sounds like my weekend away, actually.
Yeah, I know.
It's like an automotive garage.
I mean, I might even still smell like that. So, right now, your main source of selling, and you, like you said, you're taking a break, is typically through the internet, but you're out there doing trade shows and stuff as much as you could at this point in time.
Right.
Have you done anything recently? Have you been able to do that, or
a little bit? Yeah. So this summer I was able to get out and do some. I do have to be careful again with my melty candles. So July and August aren't really great months for me, but I did do a big one called the Jack Craft Fair local here at the beginning of August, which was fantastic. And now with spooky season rolling in, I've got several, I do pop-ups, and then I'll do a couple like regular markets. I just have to be careful too, because my candles are so nichey that, I can't show up at like, a conservative, like VFW post market and be like, hey, check it. And that was one of the first ones I did out at a very kind of small town out here.
Yeah.
I did not do well at all. And I almost like threw in the towel. I was like, maybe this isn't going to work. Maybe this is too nichey, because it's just like, older women that were kind of like walking past and they were like, what? Oh, and then, I get that reaction all the time. And they're like, oh, you seem so nice. What?
You seem so nice. There's blood in your candle.
Yeah, right. So that's been a little.
I'm sure they would have picked up a couple of these, though. Come on.
Oh, I know. That would have been right up their alley, right?
So I love the and I saw a couple of these that you did. What do you refer to these? Are these tiki? Are these actually tiki?
So I've been changing the name each month. So the first month it came out because it was All American Bloodthirsty Barbecue. So then all the scents were tiki drinks and different colors. Yeah. And then they were like Dastardly Death Heads this past month, and they were just like, funky. And for those, I've just been having so much fun with like the colors, and I've basically been using up scents that didn't fit anything. I do have a problem with buying scents.
Well, I was going to ask you that when you're doing this type of thing, that's not like anything specific. You're just having fun with the scents, and
that's where I kind of have free reign.
Do you change anything else about the wax that you're using in these?
No, the only difference is the color. So then I have to go through and I have to do the color layer, and then you kind of let that chill, and then I go through and I do the candle. So that's the only thing that's different with these guys.
That's so cool. I'm definitely going to keep an eye out on things when you get going again, because I'm going to start buying a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, those are my favorite. Those are my new favorite to pour. Those are my new favorite to work with, just because I never know how the colors are going to come out. They always look different and they burn really well. I've got a bunch of my test burns that, the candles I don't ever want to burn, but I did have a bunch of test burns of these because I wasn't sure how they were going to do, because they're very narrow, but then they get wider at like the base of the cranium. So I wasn't really sure how well they were going to do, but they're fantastic. And I love these guys.
When you do this kind of stuff, are you trying to get the colors in a certain place, or are you just going for it and letting it do its thing? Like the way
right now I'm just kind of going for it. Again, I'm not the most artistic, but
so you had some layered ones too as well, right? Like layered colors. Did I see something?
Yeah, I did. So I did a creep show. What's that?
I was saying hello to Nathan. He had a question for you.
Oh.
Do you ever try, is this a possibility, glow in the dark powder and wax?
I have done glow in the dark powder on my labels, but I haven't done it on the wax, but that would be pretty cool. I have it. I haven't done it yet, but that's an awesome idea.
Yeah.
And that would look really cool in these guys.
Yeah,
that would look wicked on these guys.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's an awesome.
Yeah, they're super cool. I love the way the orange ones look, especially too. I don't know why I was drawn to that though. They're super cool.
Yeah, I do like those. But I did a layered candle. That was my creep show candle.
Oh
so
yeah,
it's the original movie with like all the different stories. Yeah. So each layer represented since, yes, that's one of my 1982, George Romero, Stephen King. You can't beat it. Just amazing. Tom Savini doing the makeup, like everything about that movie is just awesome. Yeah. So each layer represented a different story.
So cool. Have you had the opportunity to get to any horror conventions to draw inspiration from, or just meet some people that you're interested in? And
so the first convention that I went to was back in 2019, and then with the pandemic, I haven't really had the opportunity to. But so there, I did get to meet. I got a signature from Tom Savini. He signed my Creepshow poster, and that was pretty cool. I saw Zach Galligan from Gremlins from a distance. It was like one of my first, like, childhood crushes, and it was like, Doug Bradley was there from Hellraiser. That's another candle that I don't think because I don't know that Hellraiser would translate real well.
So, metal, maybe pins.
You need to add the tears of Jesus.
The first sadomasochistic candle, like pins coming out of the jar.
That's it.
I've been debating about thinking of Gremlins. A good time to watch it with my daughter. She's going to be 7, and I'm like, it's got this goofy aspect, like you were saying before about watching, the surprising scene at the end of some movies. You're like, oh yeah, I forgot about. And I really want to, because you have the cute aspect of Gizmo, and then it's a classic Christmas movie. So I think she saw somewhere, we were looking at something, she saw like a Gizmo doll. She's like, oh, of course she's interested. What's that? And I was like, yeah, we should watch it sometime. And then I had to rehash the movie. It's been so long since I saw it. And I'm like,
yeah,
it's like, I don't know if I'm ready.
7 might be a little, because there are some kind of scary scenes in that for like the little ones.
Yeah, she watched some stuff that was questionable, and I was like, I don't know if we should be letting her watch this stuff.
Yeah. Beetlejuice was like that. I let my daughter watch Beetlejuice a little too young, and I forgot about some of just the double entendres and like just some. Like, oh geez.
I've been there. I was there. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this.
Yeah.
What am I doing?
Yeah.
Kane Hodder, Friday the 13th stuff. Are you doing any Friday the 13th?
Yeah, that's that's my most popular candle. I can never keep that one in stock. So that's Camp Crystal Lake. Nice. And it smells like lake water and rustic wood. So it smells like you're at summer camp.
Nice.
Friday the 13th.
Waiting for the slasher to come by.
Oh,
machete.
Yeah.
I have a little claim to fame with Friday the 13th. I met and actually tattooed Victor Miller, who wrote Friday the 13th.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so exciting.
Was
he live in your neck of the woods, or was he kind of passing through?
He did. This is years. Okay. This is a very, very long time ago, and I didn't know, but the way it came about was pretty interesting. He had come into the tattoo shop to get tattooed, and he got just some pop art, nothing horror related. Super nice guy. And then we hit it off just chatting, and he would come into New Haven to buy cigars. He was a big cigar fan. So one day I go to work, the shop's closed, it's early. I had to wait for the manager to open up. I went down to the bookstore, and I'm thumbing through. I was into smoking cigars too at the time. And I'm going through Cigar Aficionado magazine. And I open up, and here's Victor Miller, this big article with the Friday the 13th poster behind him, and he's got a cigar, and I was like, what? Like, this is so, like, he never said anything to me. I didn't know it was him.
Oh my gosh.
And I had walked up the street. He rode a big Harley. When he'd come into town, he'd go to the cigar shop, come into the tattoo shop, say, hey, I've got you a cigar. Thanks, Victor. And on the front of his Harley, he had the Jason mask, like a little painted on the front of it. And I was like, that's weird. I wonder why somebody would do that. So I got to know him, and he was a really great guy. And his regular consistent job was he wrote soap operas.
Okay.
And that was his. Yeah, it was pretty wild. So I saw him in New York at a tattoo convention, and he had just won an award. I don't know what for soap operas. I don't know what they're called. The night before, and he was like, "Hey, Jim, I just won something for the soap operas that I write, and now I'm going into the convention to get tattooed today." So really cool guy. But
yeah, what an amazing connection. That's so cool.
It was super cool. So
That's wild.
All right. Christine's gonna buy something for Game. Super cool. So with I don't know what it's like up there for you with the pandemic and COVID. We're talking about trade shows and stuff like that. How has it affected you personally, business, family stuff? Has it been? Is it you guys kind of leveling out and doing better? Is it still kind of?
We're taking a turn here. So they keep saying that our county is going. We went from, I don't know, whatever it was, like average to high. I don't know. They do all the different charts and it's all the different colors, but we were doing great for a while. And then now we're not doing so good. So
it's discouraging,
It's very discouraging. Yeah. And I think we all got so excited at the beginning of summer and everybody was just like ready to do everything. And, so it's discouraging. I just want it to be over. I just would like, and I don't know that anything's ever going to go back to like normal. And like things are even still so weird. We just went on a family vacation. And one of the things that kept striking me is like we'd go to a restaurant and you'd wear your mask, to the table and you'd sit and you'd take off your mask, which seems so odd, but whatever works. And so you sit at the table and they don't hand you menus. It was just
codes, barcode.
Oh, good night, Christine. Thanks for hanging out. So it's the little scan thing on the table. And that was just like, I don't know. And every now and again, like I kind of sit back and I think about it and it feels almost like we're in this, like a post-apocalyptic like story. It's like something that I've read before or something that I've like watched. Like it almost doesn't feel real. Like it's just very, very bizarre.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I started to say that at one point when in the beginning and then things started to get really weird. I was like, it's like, fantasy meets reality, or like it just was such a weird experience.
Yeah. So it was unusual for like all the shows kind of closed down. So then I was strictly just online. So for my business, we did really well. Like the online, I mean, everybody, I think anyone that participated in online sales probably did quite well because everybody was stuck at home and they were just like, what can I buy? What can I, to break the monotony.
I mean, I launched Crush, Kill, Destroy in the beginning of the pandemic. I think I got it going in January 2020, and then here it was. 3 months later, it was like pandemic. But same thing though. Online sales kind of were like, whoosh, it's like okay, it made some. I mean, I was doing the same thing. I was like, oh, go on Amazon, look for some cool.
Oh, shit. I did. Yeah, I probably spent all my candle profits. Like they just went right back into like online shopping. So because then too, I wanted to support other artists and other makers and things like that, just because people were struggling so bad. So, and then one of the things, kind of coming back to Crush, Kill, Destroy, it's this like Crush, Kill, Destroy, and it sounds all vicious and like raw, but then you guys do all these great philanthropic things and you give back to the community and you take care of people. And I think that is like, that's pretty amazing. And it's like, it's not what they would expect from a business called Crush, Kill, Destroy, or like, it's not because I do the same thing. I donate monthly. So, and it's just like, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing if it wasn't for people supporting me. So at the same time, like my fiance always calls me the socialist candle maker. He's like, honey, you do make a little money with this if you know what I mean? And I'm always like, everybody take all my candles and I'm going to donate to everything. And he's like, let's at least pay for the supplies. How's that?
Yeah, I can relate to that. Definitely. So did you find yourself getting more creative? Maybe having a little bit more time with things being locked down or whatever, and was there a way for you to kind of deal with stuff mentally? Or
I mean, it was definitely more of an outlet for me. I have terrible anxiety, so for me it was just kind of like anything that I could sort of channel that energy into, because it was scary, it was upsetting, watching. I worried about family and friends, and then hearing terrible stories from people, and people that you're close to, and people losing their incomes and people losing their lives. It was just kind of like, so it was just like I mean, I guess it was a pretty good outlet, or just sort of like forget about this for a little while and just go hide in the candle lair. Did you find that you had to I don't know the relationship between professor and student and stuff. Did you find that you had to offer any advice to the students or anything like that might have been helpful for them for the school year? Or I certainly tried. It was very challenging. I found for me, like I'm an introvert actually anyway. So it's like, I can get out and do the thing, but then I have to like like my batteries have to recharge for like a good length of time.
Yeah.
So not having that sort of personal connection with my students, not being able to like see them in person and maybe on your glitchy Zoom meetings, or like not being able to like have their paper in my hands and sort of correct it and like talk about them with it. For me, not having that human connection made teaching very challenging. I'm technically impaired as it is. So if students came to me, if they needed extensions, if they couldn't hand the assignments in, if they disappeared for a while, I reached out. I tried to do everything I possibly could to make it as pleasant as possible. So, I mean, if you failed my class in the last couple of semesters, it's because you disappeared. It's, you know, like literally you had to try to fail.
Yeah. I like you said about the going to the restaurant with the, scanning the thing. I too feel the same way. It's like that tactile, connection is just so, I found it one of the hardest things to deal with, cutting these ties, this physical thing. It was like it's a huge bummer, and I hope that it doesn't, people talk about the new norm, and I don't buy that. Like I'm not down with that. Like I hope that we get past everything, that we can return to not only return to that place of this real solid connection, but even make it even better, because there's a lot of bullshit in the world. So
yeah, seriously. Yeah. And it's like, so I think that was a funny thing for me as an introvert. At the beginning, I'm like, oh my God, I don't have to see anybody or talk to anybody. Like I can just hide in my house and it's allowed. My dream. And then all of a sudden, like, a little bit into it, I'm like, this is awful. Like I want to be an introvert on my terms. Don't tell me I have to be an introvert. Yeah. Like I started to miss those connections, and that felt really weird and jarring for me. That was just like, whoa, I miss people. Oh, whoa. Like,
so. Well, it definitely had a way of making us look at ourselves as well too,
Yeah,
for sure. No,
so we have one of our shirts is this Crush, Kill, Destroy 100% till death, and it's got a different meaning and a connection to a lot of people, but I think mostly because we're based in appreciating and highlighting people that are just doing some cool shit, doing good shit, and putting their all into it. The whole thing stems off of my relationship to my father and what an awesome dude he was, even though he was a super square. But he did just that. Everything that he did, from the smallest task to something that might seem monumental to us as kids, he put both feet into, and he put his heart into it. And I think that's what, Corey and I, the people that we've crossed paths with in every way, physically and in the real world and in the internet connection and stuff. And we say, man, this is awesome. Dude. So you have this idea of like, what does it take to maintain that kind of steadiness 100%? And I figured this was a good one that you might relate to because it's got the word death in it.
Oh, I love it. Absolutely love it. Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts about the way that you yourself move through the world, or your family or your friends that you feed off of, that you say, what, this is someone that has encountered some hardship, or this is someone that's doing great in life and they're still steady and they're still giving it their all, or they're maybe they don't have what someone else might think the greatest job, it's kind of shitty, but they still put their heart into it. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, your dad sounds like he was an amazing guy.
Yeah, he was.
And I think it's tough to maintain that. I think that is a really difficult thing, especially, as a parent, as somebody who's got to, maintain the household and take care of everything. And I feel like, I don't know, I guess I'm sort of a perfectionist by nature, which is, and it's probably a side effect of my anxiety. I don't ever, like, if I put something out into the world, I don't want it to be anything less than 100%. So it's like, if something happens to a batch of candles, you have that fleeting thought. It's like, well, I'll stick the label on them, get them out there. I won't do it. I'd rather reach out to the customer and say, listen, I completely fucked this batch of candles up. Give me a little bit more time and let me get you a good candle. Or, and when I'm teaching, like I was just talking about, heading back into the semester, it's difficult as an adjunct professor because I'm not tenured. I don't get the same sort of like benefits or time or like different things that like the full-time professors often get. And so it's like I'm doing what I feel should be a full-time job, giving my all to my students at like a part-time salary, which becomes extremely frustrating. And like, those are the times when it's like, I just want to give like 65%, or I just want to give like,
sure.
I'm in the mood for 35 today because I'm just so, overwhelmed and frustrated. But then something happens. Like, I had a student who asked me to come to one of her like celebratory functions at school because she was being given an honor, and she's like, and we get to invite a faculty member, and I want it to be you. So then it's like something like that happens, and you're just like,
that's
like,
awesome.
You made a connection. So even if every student walks into my 101 class and goes, ugh, like, I hate like, this is terrible. I had that one student that like, we connected, and we had this wonderful semester. And still, like, I'll run into her sometimes in Buffalo, and like, she introduced me to her mom. I mean, that kind of stuff is so cool. So when you don't feel like you can give 100%, just kind of like take a step back. Like, sometimes if I get overwhelmed or I bite off more than I can chew, I make some of those skull candles, where it's like I get back to that sort of creative well, where I'm not doing it for a buck, where I'm not doing it for an order, where I'm not doing it for anything but me. And I'm just like farting around with some colors and some great smells. So
that's awesome. That's such a great point, because even if someone, like you said, this person reached out to you and you're like, oh wow, that's super cool. You still have to be open to that too, because everything can be ugh. So if you're not open to those moments that you go, wow, that's cool. I mean, I feel pretty good about that. That's the springboard to the next good thing. So to me, it's like that's the till death part that we need to embrace that stuff so we can keep moving forward. And especially today, I mean, everything is heightened for the last year and a half, or almost 2 years of what we've gone through. So it's like we really need those moments. And I know Corey will agree with me. Doing what we do with this podcast was a very selfish thing in the beginning, because I was like, I need to keep my fucking sanity, And then it turned into these really great connections and in education. So.
Absolutely. Yep, 100%.
I think it's so cool. I totally appreciate your time. This has been incredible. There was some really great insights from you. I learned a lot about the candles that they're so much more in depth than I could have ever imagined. And throughout the whole time talking about it, really, like, the sensations, I was getting both. I was feeling both like happy about the scents and stuff, and I also at one point got chills from whatever movie you were talking about.
That's perfect.
That's it.
It's like the best. That's the best compliment ever. I had someone smell a candle once, and they were like, "This smells like a horror movie," and I'm like, "Yeah."
Oh, that's beautiful.
So that was
I'm in my basement too, but this is where I do the podcast from, and I was getting all freaked out. I was going like,
a little creak on the steps. What?
Yeah, for real, man.
Oh my God. Help me.
So we usually, speaking of giving stuff away, Jillian, Corey, and I like to give some free stuff away. So we do a quick trivia. So please hang out with us, and we'll do this. We got a couple of people hanging out and watching, and I think you'll appreciate this. You can, if you want to help give hints. They seem. I think they seem fairly easy, but if you want to give some hints, feel free.
okay.
So we're going to do our crush trivia right now. All right. So what we decided to do was classic movie scenes that had candles in the scene of the movie.
Oh my God.
We have six. We have six movies. Let me get rid of my little branded thing over here. Where the heck is that?
Figuring out the buttons.
So I have 6 movies. I feel like they're relatively simple. And Corey and I usually, if someone is typing an answer in the comments, it's all based on whoever is the fastest.
Okay. The only thing I'll say though,
yes.
This is a slightly different, because I believe you're going to be you're showing a scene from the movie.
I'm going to show a scene from a movie.
Okay.
That's tough to Google, people.
Yeah.
It's tough to Google
because it's an image.
So right? I try not to pick stuff that was too hard. That's
no. I looked at the list. I was like, ooh.
Because Corey and I usually encourage Google. Like
we do.
Whatever it is, just Google. Go do it. Again, we want to give stuff away.
Yeah.
So our first movie, great candle scene. I'll put it up for a second or two, and we're just looking for the name of the movie.
So,
Dave, I know it. I know it.
Listen, so yeah, I mean, so this is what I was waiting to see. It's like how kind of explicit some of these were going to be. So yeah, right. If someone knows this movie, this should be really like,
yes.
And of course, let's see.
Oh
yeah, Jeff was quick to it. Okay,
there you go, Jeff.
Yeah.
That's it, Jeff.
Nice one. That's absolutely one of my favorite.
Yeah.
Yep. And I have a candle for that one.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It's called Rollin' Z Hay.
Nice.
Put the candle on the bookcase.
Put it back. Such a good movie.
Okay, second movie. This is actually really beautifully shot. The cinematography in this scene is so beautiful. A bunch of candles in this one, so you can. I try not to show.
This
too
is
much.
a little trickier.
You think so?
A little bit.
No.
We can.
It's not as boom in your face as.
It's not as boom, and I try not to show too much of the male actor because I think that would have gave it.
Yeah,
I agree.
Right away.
Yes.
But I don't know if you remember the spinning around. It was so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Dave doesn't know, but he loves the lighting. Dave is a camera guy, so he appreciates that.
I could give you the year and the director.
Yes.
Look at you.
Yeah. Is that okay? Can I give those hints?
Yeah, please do.
Francis Ford Coppola, 1992.
92. Wow, I can't believe it's that old. That's so crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. We're old, guys.
Yeah.
I just celebrated my birthday, and it's like, is it really celebrating?
Well,
Corey and
I mean, I'm still alive, so that's awesome.
Yeah, we just turned 50, so it's like
I'm right behind you.
Yeah, it's so crazy.
Yeah. How do you feel about that?
50, 40 was like, yeah, I got my shit together. 50, I was like,
no, I ain't got that either.
Let me see.
That one's trickier.
No one's got it?
No one got it. We could let's see. What kind of hints?
Well, the actor, you could start to play around with the wait a minute.
Got it?
So we can Dave said he Googled it. You know what? Dave guessed, and I think I already owe him a bunch of shit, but it is Dracula, more specifically Bram Stoker's.
Yeah. Yes. But
we'll give it to Dave, and Dave's gonna rack up a bunch of free stuff from you that I still owe him, actually.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Dave. Number 3, super classic. Freaked me out. Totally freaked me out when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Oh,
perfect. Do you have a candle for this?
I don't.
Yeah,
it's a king that I don't have a candle for, and but I have. The funny thing is, I've had a scent profile for it since
Mary came right in.
Oh,
she came in like
this is a classic.
That's record. That might be
nice work, Mary.
Look at that. Cheers to you.
This movie's so good.
Oh yeah, it's a great.
And the book was fantastic.
Mary got it because it's from the 70s.
Oh,
aren't we all from the 70s?
She's gonna get mad. She's gonna get mad at me.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
So I have some non-horror. I have a non-horror movie with a interesting camera scene, and I try to make them a little bit harder.
Okay. As you go, do they get progressively harder?
I try to. They're not always like that. In my mind, I try to.
Okay.
So this one, this can throw people off a little bit.
Yeah.
I would say a good clue is definitely the neon cross in the back.
Yes.
I think that's a helpful clue.
Yeah.
Jeff came in a little bit late with Rosemary's Baby. Good guess for the
another cool movie.
Yeah.
You know what? I was just talking about this because Tracy and I were watching. I can't really say it because it'll give it away. But you know what? Whatever. We were watching another interpretation of this author's stories.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
it was was pretty interesting. But I liked the way that this was done. It had that like modern music.
Oh
yeah, I love that movie. I thought it was done really well.
You disagreed with me, but I thought it was pretty cool.
No, I liked it.
So
and I always wanted to end different.
No, I know, right?
No, don't do the thing. Don't. Oh, you did the thing.
Oh, it's like we know it's going to end that way too.
Yeah.
Like it's like this emotional attachment to the ending where you're just like, come on, man.
Every time.
You're watching.
There's a better way.
Yeah.
Like, why did they do this in that movie? Why didn't they do it different?
And then I realized, oh, they're right around my daughter's age.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't like any of that either.
Yeah. All right, so no one's guessing this one. I think what's a good line? What's a line from this movie that might help?
Would it give it away?
Yeah.
We're okay with that, though.
We're okay with that.
So the director was Baz Luhrmann.
Okay.
Soundtrack was amazing. And so the line that I'm thinking of is like probably one of the most famous lines, right? Gives the character away.
Yes, do it.
So can I do that?
Absolutely.
So Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo?
Yes.
Yes. Name of the movie. You guys got it. This is total freebie. Come on.
What light?
Leonardo DiCaprio and Claire Danes
playing Beyond Window Breaks.
Star-crossed lovers in Verona.
It is the sun.
That's not a guess, but he's thinking. Claire Danes was going to Yale for a little bit. I used to see her walking down in downtown New Haven when I worked down there.
Oh, I want to live in New England, like anywhere in New England. We just came back from our family vacation. We stayed in Massachusetts and visited Rhode Island, and it's just like, I am envious. You live in a wonderful place.
Yeah, and there's a lot of spooky shit out here, so you'd probably.
Yes, that's why I like it so much.
There is a lot of spooky shit around.
All right, these guys are not guessing this, and I'm really excited about this next one because it's a little tricky as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the images, depending on what they are, it might be a little.
You know what? We'll call this one Jillian's, because I do usually send a bunch of swag to anyone that's come on, so I'll need to grab an address and send you some stuff.
Bravo.
Well, I'll in the same. So let me know what you're interested in sniffing, and I'll get those out to you guys.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Next one, non horror, but super creepy. Watch this movie over and over and over again. This is you know this one?
Mm-hmm.
This is one of my all-time favorites.
A hint, very, very young Jodie Foster. Just incredible. This might be her first movie, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, I think you're right, because it was like what she had to do and the role she played was quite controversial.
Yeah, very.
Like, such a good movie.
Oh yeah,
such a good movie. I watched this even recently with my buddies outside on my projector, which was super cool, and I just forgot how much I enjoyed it.
We got a winner.
Jeff got it. Excellent. Someday the real rain's gonna come and wash all the scum away.
Oh, you know the movie better than I do. I just know the mirror scene.
Are you looking at me? Are you looking at me?
Got to make the De Niro face when you do that.
Yeah.
You talking to me? That's more The Godfather. I really kind of screwed that up. Anyway.
I just watched a cartoon with my daughter, and he was the voice of. Oh God, it was like a Shark's Tale. That's right. He was the voice of one of the sharks.
Oh jeez.
Yeah, it's pretty cute actually. So, all right, folks, this is our very last trivia for the evening.
This is great.
And I thought we would end off, especially for me, because I was getting chills from talking about all this horror stuff, with a comedy that just has a really ridiculous candle scene in it, which
it does.
Watched several times. And, oops, there we go. Do you know this one, Jillian?
Mm-hmm.
I love this one.
That's so great.
I would say probably my favorite scene in this. It was when he's getting his chest whacked.
I was like, it was. I don't want to
look at
line.
Dave.
Dave.
I just I love. Yeah, I was just gonna say I love absolute ridiculousness of that line, and
and apparently a bunch of that was ad-libbed, and like he was really getting like that was all
that
real.
was happening.
Yeah. And he's a very hairy gentleman.
Very.
Kelly
Yeah.
Clarkson scream was just classic.
Yeah.
All right, so I owe people some giveaways. I will get everybody's info. Again, Jillian, thank you so much for taking time to chat with Corey and I. It's been a pleasure, and we'll certainly be in touch. I will get some information from you to send you some free stuff. And good luck with everything moving forward with school and the candle stuff. And I'll definitely be keeping an eye out. And I'm even more excited to purchase some new candles in the future because I'm so much more enlightened about what it is that you do and the heart that you put into all the creation. So I really, really want to thank you so much for your time.
Oh, I really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much, and best of luck to you in the future with Crush, Kill, Destroy. You guys are crushing it and killing it and destroying it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Have an excellent evening, and until next time, crush it, everybody.
Woohoo!
Take care. Thank you, Jillian. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.